sure. And like Kevin said, we have a lot of great upcoming ones coming up. On Monday, we're going to be talking about some ways to make creative meals with typical staples that you have at home and working from lists to stay busy. On Tuesday, oh my gosh, you know what? I can't even remember what we have for Tuesday now. Jess, you remember?
Census. We have, we're going to be talking about the census.
That's right. Yep. Tuesday, Dan Burke and Martin Becerra are going to be talking about the census. On Wednesday, we're going to be doing a community workout together. On Thursday, we're going to be doing essential oils. And on Friday, we're going to be discussing an article that we'll put out and have a group discussion about it. So
what we'll do is we'll pick an article of NFB literature that's available already up on NFB Newsline, or you can get it on the website. Folks can read it, and those who want can come and talk about it. We're also going to do some other things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a Randolph Shepherd. What is the Randolph Shepherd program? We're going to do a Meet the Leader, key people around the country, where we'll put them on and interview some folks. If you have ideas, please let us know. You can use assistance@nfbco.org, or you can just get in touch with Jessica or Maureen directly. We'll try to continue to develop content that folks might enjoy and help fill the void and keep us all off of Facebook.
Yeah.
But one of the emails, and I'm not sure which one, was at the bottom of that one, and so one of you guys did get an email I sent putting a music
on a meeting
out there yesterday.
Yeah, I got it.
Got it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So it is 5:01 now, so I'm going to go ahead and have Kevin mute everybody. Thanks for being on the call, as Maureen said, and we are very fortunate to have had a special guest who actually came to us with an idea. And so oftentimes what happens is when you come to us with an idea, we say, oh, great, that sounds excellent. Do you want to do it? And so this is what happened with Gary Wonder when he suggested that a good idea would be to have some Zoom training for folks, which is a very great idea. And so we're very lucky that Gary was willing to not only have a great idea, but to follow through and help support that idea. And so Gary, thank you so much for being on the call tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hang on one sec.
As soon as Kevin unmutes you.
Yeah. Gary, which one are you on? The phone?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. There we go. Oh.
Yeah, I'm starting out on the phone.
Okay.
I thought I would start out with what I consider to be the least high quality audio that you can get on Zoom. But I think if my experience is any guide, you'll find this audio perfectly acceptable. You'll find it just as good as any other conference service that you use. I'll just give you a little bit of introduction about Zoom. If you want a high quality way to talk with others, you can use Zoom. You can use it for 2 people, or you can use it for up to 100. If you want a conferencing service, again, Zoom is for you. If you want to teach someone and share your screen, including with speech, Zoom is for you. You can use your home phone, corded or cordless, your cell phone, or your cell phone, of course, as a smartphone, using an app that Zoom provides, and that, I think, gives you the highest quality audio, that and using it with a computer. There are lots of things you can do when you're on the Zoom service, but the first thing that you want to do is you want to learn how to avoid syncing a Zoom call. The one thing that can kill a conference is for somebody not to mute. Now, sometimes it is, I'm sure that I'm in a quiet environment, and if I want to say something, I want to be able to say it without pushing buttons. There's a certain arrogance in that, and there's a certain wrongness because your dog will bark, your door will squeak, somebody will come knock, something's going to happen. The other thing is that some people legitimately don't know how to mute, and so for them it's, okay, I'm on here, but this is way over my head technologically. I'm doing the best I can, and if you want to jump me about the noise that I'm making, I'll just leave. Well, we don't want anybody to do that here. So let me go over really quickly with you how it is that you mute and unmute. let's see, Deb, I think that I hear you. You might press your top right mute button. Deb and I are sharing a line here.
Will it hang you up?
No,
All right, hold on.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so we had Subway for dinner, and some of you, given how high the quality is in Zoom, might have noticed that that was aluminum foil you were hearing in the background there. So with Zoom, if you're on a regular telephone, if you dialed in from a regular phone using one of the numbers that Zoom provided for you and then entered the participant ID, the way you mute is with *6, and it will say you are now muted, and *6 again will say you are now unmuted. A number of us, of course, like the iPhone and like the Android phone. Both of those do have Zoom applications for them, and if you are invited to a Zoom call, that application will be installed for you if you say yes when you click on the link from an email that puts you into the Zoom, or you can go and download Zoom from the App Store. In any event, when you get on with the Zoom app, there is a mute button at the very bottom left of your screen, kind of unlike the battery charge at the top right of your screen. This is at the bottom left. And when you touch it with your finger, it will say mute button. And if you tap it, it will say phone is muted, or you are now muted, or you are now unmuted. So you can do it that way. If you can't manage to find that button, you can use the normal gestures that you would use with VoiceOver. You can swipe until you hear the button, and then you can double tap. So it's easy to mute and to unmute. There are other buttons there that you can use. You can leave. You can look at the number of participants that there are and all kinds of things. If you're on a Windows system, I don't know about the Apple system, so I'll apologize up front for that. If you're on a Windows system, you move focus to your Zoom window, and the way that you mute is with Alt-A, and the way that you unmute is with Alt-A. Now, most conferences that you will enter will let you enter, but they will presume that you're going to be muted to start with, so you'll probably have to unmute, but you should check the status of it because it really can sink a call. Just one person's heavy breathing, just one person's running water can mess it up for everybody. Anyway, I thought I would give you a sample of some of the audio. You've heard me now on the actual cordless phone running through a landline service. My wife is going to stay, Debbie is here, and she's going to stay on this phone, but I'm going to ring off, and Kevin, I assume you'll be able to get me
Unmuted on your other one?
Yeah, mute me here and then unmute me on the other one, and we will try from there, okay?
All right, here goes the mute, and then going down. Here's the other one.
Okay, and it told me that I am unmuted by host. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my guess is that you will have noticed an improvement in audio quality. I may be wrong about that. But I want to show you that one of the cool things about using Windows is that you can share your screen with other people. Now, usually screen sharing only means that somebody can see your screen, but in terms of Zoom, we have another option, which is sound. So let me see if I can share my screen. Oh, it disabled my... Okay, so it looks like the host has disabled my screen sharing, but if I could do screen sharing, I could share with you not only the screen, but the JAWS speech that goes along with that, which is pretty cool. There is a little bit of a delay in it, but mostly you could watch me and I could teach you how to use Outlook or Internet Explorer, which we don't use much anymore, or any of the other browsers like Chrome or Firefox. or the newest one from Microsoft Edge. So this is a great thing that we have that I gotta turn my speech on demand here so I can see these things in Braille. Otherwise, they end up disrupting. Um, I guess I am probably at the point of saying that one of the things that you find when you've got everybody muted is that people will have questions, and you can either type your question into a chat window, in which case I can see it in Braille, Jessica can see it, Kevin can see it, and can act as the cue person. But you can also raise your hand if you want to ask the question verbally, and there will be a queue of people who have their hands raised, and we can go through and then answer those questions. So, Kevin, I'm going to kind of turn it to you at this point and see if we have questions that have either come through chat or people raising their hands.
All right. If anybody wants to raise their hand or have a question, now's the time. All right, we've got Worley here. All right, Kevin, you're unmuted.
Yeah, real quick, Gary, can you ask a question if you're just using the iPhone and on the app, not Windows? Are you able to type a question so that you don't have to ask a question verbally?
Yes, I can go to a chat window and I can type in a question. Jessica was giving some information in the chat window about what I was doing just a little bit ago. I don't know if you heard that on the iPhone or not, but I certainly heard it here on Windows. So yes,
Okay,
you can
cool.
type the question.
Oh, that's huge. Thank you.
Yeah, so we had somebody ask for captions, and Jess is trying to keep up with that in the chat window.
It reminds me of the scene in MASH where Radar is writing to his mother, and he says, "Dear Mom, I'm writing this letter slow because I know you don't read very fast." So keep Jessica in mind as you try all of this. How about other questions?
Anyone else?
So let me try to confuse you just a little more, Kevin. I'm going to see if I can do this on my iPhone just so that people get a comparison again of the difference in audio.
Okay. So I'm going to
start Zoom application. And so it brings me up in a search field. I don't want a search field, so I go, it's not a new meeting. So I want to join. Text field is editing, meeting ID, insertion point at start. Now, it's giving me a place to enter the ID of the meeting, and you'll notice that Zoom IDs are either 9 digits or 10 digits. Our meeting here happens to be a 10-digit meeting. Some of you who entered by the web might not have noticed, but the format of the Zoom web address is https://zoom.us/j/ and then this magic number that in our case, I think Kevin starts out 595 or something. So you can figure out the meeting ID from a URL, or if you know the meeting ID already and you want to come into it, you can create a URL to go directly to Zoom that way. Let me flip over. Meeting history button. I'm going to go to meeting history since I've put this number in already, and I'm going to click meeting history. Gary Wonders personal meeting room 5732. Okay, so it started to give you my meeting room because that's where I played to see today if I could do half of what I thought I could do. Let me up arrow. Colorado Center's personal meeting room 595506. Okay, so I'm going to click done. I have found in history what I want. I don't have to remember the ID. Done button. Meeting history button. So now I've said what I want to do in meeting history. Join with the screen name. Join. If you receive join. So I'm going to say join. Waiting. Ellipsis. In progress. In progress, it says. And you notice that it gave a chime. And you'll see that there's a bit of a latency delay here. So Kevin, I'm going to have you mute my computer and see if you can unmute my iPhone.
Okay, and when you get back on your phone, we've got a couple questions here.
Okay.
All right, so I'm muting computer. All right, and is that the right one?
Let's see. I think so.
Oh,
Let's see. 1, 2. No, I think you've got my computer still.
oh, okay. All right, here goes this one.
Okay, so now let me turn down my speaker. The trouble is when you try to play this Zoom game and you're using all the same features in the phone, in the same room. So
Yeah.
I've got 3 Zoom devices activated. I assume this audio is okay, Kevin?
Absolutely.
All right. Do we want to do another question?
Yeah, one real quick. One of them asked in the chat, how do you raise your hand in Windows?
You know, that's a good question. Let's see. I have to think about how you raise your hand in Windows. I think I'm going to have to research that one. I don't remember how. There is a raise hand feature for every other one.
Yeah.
That I know how to flick to, but I don't know what the Windows one is. Now, there is an accessibility section in the actual Windows app that you can go to.
Let's see. We got Paul raised his hand. He might know real quick.
All right, let's see.
All right.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Paul.
So in Windows, to mute and unmute is Alt-Y.
Alt-Y. John Smith just responded that in the chat as well.
There you go. Save.
How about I don't know if this was covered in the phone portion, but it's *9 to raise your hand on the phone.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
That's absolutely correct. So when you're on the iPhone, there are a lot of functions that are really cool. Of course, we talked about the mute. Let's see here. So if you flick right from that mute button, you will find Start My Video. And this is not a big deal for blind people, but when you're in a meeting with sighted people who actually have the ability to see you on the screen, they very much like to. And so there are times when I use video, but one of the things you have to figure out is whether you want this to come on by default. There are times when I attend early morning meetings that aren't so early morning on the East Coast, and maybe I'll be in my sweatpants and an undershirt, and so I don't want the video to come on automatically, but I do want to be able to turn it off and on. So next to the mute button on the bottom is the video on and off. You're able to share content from the iPhone if you want to. You can share your screen here as well. You can look at the number of participants in the call. So if I go over to participants and I double tap, it says that there are 50 participants in the meeting, and my iPhone, like your iPhones probably, has been telling you about the people who come and go. Now we are up to 51. And so that's a window you probably don't want to keep open very long. You can also figure out who's talking on the iPhone or from the iPhone screen. It has an active speaker avatar. And one of the cool things about knowing who's talking is not only that you don't have to plead ignorance when you don't recognize the voice. Somebody wants visual. All right, I started the video. I don't know if that helps a bit with what they're looking for. When you turn on video, you get a camera chooser, and I was telling you that you can look at who is talking. All right, if you will tell me whether my camera is focused so you can do that. Okay, and Kevin, if you can clue me too if I get off. Good, good, good. So see, there is a reason for the video. This is great. So not only can you figure out who it is that's talking, but if you find that you have excessive noise in the conference, you can actually use the who is speaking to tell you where the noise is coming from. You'll have to figure out a diplomatic way to tell them, but you at least can see where it's coming from. I wonder if other people have questions. So let me tell you, in lieu of questions, I like that. Captioning helps with names, numbers, and strange words.
So I had a question, Kevin, right? I'm sorry. So with and this is a lot of what you're demonstrating is on the iPhone, right? So it's actually, you're saying it's quite feasible to use the iPhone as opposed to Windows whenever possible. Now, is the app on the iPhone called Zoom Meetings? Is that right?
Paul may need to help me out here. I think it's actually Zoom Cloud Meetings, I believe is what it's called in the App Store. Most people won't actually have to worry about doing the downloading. If you try to attend your first Zoom meeting and you click a link, either in a text message or an email about Zoom, it will automatically ask you if it can install the app for you, which is the way that I did it on my iPhone. I think you have a little more control from a Windows desktop machine, but it's certainly your option as to which you want to use. When I participate in meetings and I am not the host and I'm not the main presenter, I like using the iPhone because I can get up and pace in a way that I just can't with a Windows machine. Given that there is a mute button if you need to go to the bathroom and wash your hands or get yourself a drink of water or whatever it is, it's a whole lot easier than trying to mess with a corded microphone. Anyway, I wanted to tell you what my sources are. I'm no Zoom expert, okay? I know Zoom just well enough to get by. I read Jonathan Mosen's book, which is a 3-hour book and it's free, and we can send you the information for anybody who wants that information. We can send you the address of where to get the 3-hour book that Jonathan has decided to donate to the community based on the COVID-19 virus and the fact that people want it. There is also a tutorial that Vispero has on its website. It's about a 20-minute one, and it tells you how to use Zoom with JAWS. And I think the app is pretty self-explanatory on iOS. If you can flick, you can figure out almost every feature that's on iOS.
And I'm trying to unmute you, Karis, but it's doing that thing where sometimes it just doesn't unmute real quick. So while it's doing that, I'm going to get Kevin Worley again.
Yeah, it did that to Karis yesterday, actually. Zoom should apologize to her. We've already started our virtual COVID-19 vodka drinking bar or sports bar over here, Gary, because there's no Cardinal games. My question was, everybody else on here is going to know how you're doing this, but I don't. So you're moving around that screen and are you using a headphone with that? How are you're using to tell what your screen's saying? Because we're not hearing what your screen's telling you.
VoiceOver very often is suppressed, whether you're on a regular phone call or whether you're on Zoom. So
yeah, but how are you hearing it then?
I'm hearing it through my speaker. I've got my phone just like I had you on a speakerphone call.
Okay. Okay.
So I can flick and you probably won't hear it. It
Got
says
it.
displaying Worley's avatar. Did you hear that?
I did not. But it's
I
good to
wouldn't
know
think
that I
so.
have an avatar.
Yeah,
I'm still trying,
absolutely.
Karis. Sorry.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
then when Kevin spoke up there, it said displaying Colorado Center's avatar.
All right. Then we have Masha here. Or let's see. Is this Masha? It's a phone number here. All right. You're
Yes,
on.
hi, this is Masha from Boston, and I have a couple questions. One is about the chat window. I'm using a laptop with Windows and JAWS, and if my church is doing Zoom online Zoom services, and you're supposed to put the prayer requests in the chat box, and you know, and read what other people are putting in, and I don't know how to do that.
Okay, so the way that you go to the chat window is with Alt-H, and that
Okay.
will put, and then when you tab around, it will show you what other people have said, and it will also let you enter your own chat question or your chat prayer request or whatever you'd like. And I believe that if you miss what somebody says, you can use Control-1 for the last message, Control-2 for the previous message, Control-3 for the one before that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think it'll let you do the last 10. So it's a pretty nice chat feature. If you're going to
So
use
if I type, sorry, if I type it, yeah, because last week it's like, you know, I could type something, but then I didn't know how to actually enter it. So you're saying just tab from there and there's a button or something?
I believe if you enter, it will send your chat message.
Okay.
Jessica, you might tell whether that's right, but I think that's how it'll work from the Windows machine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think a lot of people really do like the chat facility if they're on something that they can use it with. I find chat difficult from the iPhone, but I find it a real breeze from the.
All right. So we have Sean here, and I'm still trying, Karis. I haven't left you. All right. Here's Sean.
I think my question was basically, is there a gesture for raising your hand, or do we have to go through the app, you know, on the iPhone app?
I believe that you have to go and find that button and then actually double tap it. I'm not aware of a VoiceOver gesture where you'd use 2 or 3 fingers with a certain kind of swipe to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I know as accessibility, under accessibility options, there's a place that you can create your own gestures if that's something you wanted to go through.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Jess just asked for the person we're captioning for, if you're using your iPhone and you ask a question, would you mind turning on your video just so we can see the question? That would help. All right. All right. Karis is still not going yet. So we have one from Trevor.
So I did just find a tidbit that appears to be, if you use Control-2 and you're not in the chat history, or the if you use it on the main screen, it does tell you who's speaking at the time. Just thought I'd share that.
Okay.
Oh, good. Good. That is very helpful. I should say that I have no financial interest in this, but there is a fellow named Brian Hargen who sells scripts. He gives them away for the basic version of Zoom, but for the professional version, he sells scripts. They're about $42 American. And since I bought these yesterday, I can tell you that that is $30 British pounds, or 30 pounds. And they give you some extra things. They let you control the level of information that JAWS gives you. For instance, do you want to hear everybody who leaves and joins the call? Sometimes you will, and if you're in the middle of a presentation, maybe you won't. So it'll let you toggle various elements of what you hear, so that maybe the only thing you want to hear is a chat question, but people can come and go as they wish and you don't want to hear that. Or maybe somebody else is handling the chat window for you and screening the questions, in which case maybe all you'll want to hear is who left or came to the meeting, or maybe you won't want to hear any of it.
We had a question in the chat from Jeanette. If I have Zoom on my iPhone and need to add an ID for a meeting, where do I input the number, the ID number?
It will have the meeting ID. I think that's the name of the field, and that's where you type the 9 or the 10-digit number.
All right. We have Robert and Susan. Here we go.
Hi, it's Susan.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear?
Oh,
Okay,
very
good.
well, yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Two things. One is, I understand there are a couple of cost options. One is the basic, which is free and it's a 40-minute limit. And the professional, I'd like to know some more about that. I'd also like to hear somebody talk about, I understand that YouTube also has a platform, and if anybody has any information about comparing Zoom with YouTube, I'd be interested in hearing about that. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know anything about the YouTube option, but I can tell you that the professional does let you speak as long as you wish. It'll let you hold a conference for up to 100 people, and that there's no time limit to it. I think that is essentially the reason that I bought it, is that I didn't want to have to do that. It does give you other options. It would let you change who hosts the meeting. If Kevin had to leave for some reason, he could make somebody else the host. It does let you mute and unmute people so that you can be more in command of a conference like this. It costs about $15 a month. However, I understand that if you buy it by the year, if you're willing to do a one chunk, it will be more like $12 a month. I didn't see that when I signed up, so I'm paying $15.
Thank you.
Surely. I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I really like as a guy who's now 65 is that I think the audio quality on Zoom is really good. And when you join a meeting on iPhone, I would really suggest that you do the join using internet audio rather than doing it with the iPhone itself. Because as neat as the iPhone is, I don't think the iPhone is very good in conference calls when it dials in as a regular telephone. Just my opinion, but I think you lose a lot of frequency response. Maybe the frequency response you use just happens to be particular to the frequencies I'm starting to lose as I get older. But I love the fact that on a good Zoom audio call, as Barbara Pierce would say, you can tell whether someone has spinach in their teeth just by the way they talk.
All right, we had a comment in the chat. Another valuable command is Alt Windows S to enable and disable alerts. The alerts tell who is entering and leaving the meetings.
Yes,
right.
That is true.
And hey, Karis, I'm still trying to get you unmuted. So if you're able to type your question in the chat, we can get it that way. But I'm still trying. And then we have Marianne. All right. It's doing the same thing to Marianne. Oh, wait, we got Marianne.
No, and hi, everybody. And I did turn video on. I'm not sure which way the camera's facing. I'm multitasking because I'm exercising at the same time on my little respirator bike. which I highly recommend to people who have little apartments like I do. But I was going to say that I did buy the professional year subscription, and yes, it's definitely a better value. You only think about it once a year and it's done, because I host our chapter meetings there and other kinds of meetings on mine. But I was going to say, for those who are messing around with the audio or with the iPhone, a lot of those extra features like raising hands and getting into the chat and so on and so forth are all in the More menu. So if you're looking on that bottom of the screen by the turn on your unmute and turn on video, on the far right-hand corner, you'll find that More button, and that is where you're going to find a bunch of those extra features that are buried in your iPhone.
Absolutely. And I should have mentioned that, Marianne. That's a great catch. That is where you want them. And, you know, one of the great things about the iPhone screen is that it's not terribly cluttered, but unless you use the More button, you won't see some of those neat options. So are we cool? Do people feel comfortable with how to mute and unmute, how to initiate a Zoom call, how to join a meeting?
Trevor's back with another one. Here you go, Trevor.
Okay. One of the things that I noticed was really cool is that you can mix and match. So whoever has the paid account can, you know, if you have the free account, like I do right now, you can join somebody who's paying. So that's kind of neat that they really mashed it well so that everybody can be able to join no matter who has a subscription or not. And I apologize if you can hear, I don't know if you can hear my JAWS screen reader or not.
Yeah, but it's not overly overtaking anything, so.
Yeah. Kevin, one of the things I was going to show people, I heard that question. How can you do breakout sessions? Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. And how do people do it? I've never done it before, so I really can't tell you. But I do know that I saw that in Jonathan Mosen's book that he's downloading or that he's giving people for free. And if you folks don't have that link, I can pull it out and send it to you. President Riccobono sent it out. The communications team sent it out. We've tried to make a big deal of it. We're going to put it in the monitor as well so that people know. But he does talk about that. You can hold a conference and you can have breakout sessions if you have a pro account. And yes, the fact that you can get on with somebody who has a pro account and you can talk as long as you want, it does free you from one of the constraints of basic. So unless you have to host, you can probably get along with a basic account.
All right, we have Rennie Jackson. Rennie, here you go.
Thank you. Got a question for you about Windows. What was the key command to quit getting alerts when someone joins or leaves the meeting?
Alt Windows S.
Alt Windows S.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind that you have to be in the Zoom window when you perform a lot of these commands. It's easy to get off in another window, like, I'm going to check my email here because I know what he's talking about. And then you try that command and it doesn't work.
Well,
so
I am looking at you right now, so that means I'm on the Zoom window.
There you go.
And
is it painful?
No.
No, okay. All right.
Nope. Trevor just said it's trying to screen share when he hits Alt Windows S.
Yes, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Also.
So I had thought that Alt Windows S was only with the Harjan Consultancy scripts. I don't know if that's native to the regular scripts or not. I know Alt S should do the share. I thought Alt Windows S would do this other option of alerts. You can also try Control F5 and see if that toggles you between alerts and no alerts. Somebody on Windows try that.
Control F5.
Yes, Control F5.
Okay.
Control F5.
Trevor says no.
No.
Okay.
All right. Paul Sandoval also put in the public chat the website for that Mosen book, mosen.org/Zoom.
There you go. Pretty darn simple. That's great. Thank you, Paul.
Alert, audio now unmuted. Raise hand alert. The host has acknowledged your raised hand.
Hi.
From Eileen Rivera Lead.
Hi. You're able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. I have a couple questions. I'm using a Windows 10 computer here, and I'm tapping around and looking at the different buttons and wondering if there's a record button. Maybe I don't know if you ever used that. Like now, if I did that, would I have a recording of this, or is that how does that work?
We are recording. It is up to the host of the meeting. Well, it's a setting they can change to allow others to record or not. So we are recording these, and we will be putting them out on one of the NFBF Colorado sources, either YouTube or Facebook or one of those.
Okay, and what about there's a reaction button?
I think it's kind of like emojis.
Oh, okay. Is that for feedback for like you, the moderator, or what is that?
I think it comes up in the chat. Well, I don't know. You can try hitting one.
Okay, I just wondered if you've used them and if
I have not.
It also has a polling feature. So if you wanted to ask a question like, how many of you believe in climate change? You could easily get a number without going around and asking everybody. So it's pretty cool in that way too. It's kind of like getting the sense of the room. Yeah, it's
taking a
like
poll?
taking a poll. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And about the accounts, you were mentioning about the account. So anybody who wants to join has to download an app to their device. Is that correct? Hello?
I think so. It may be possible to go to zoom.us and do it directly, but I think that everybody does end up using an app or some kind of add-in.
Yeah, I believe
so. Does that mean like what most people do is they just put their username or get their name and they get their own password when they activate their account? They have to go through that whole process. They couldn't, like if I wanted to do a meeting and I wanted to send out a link or something to have somebody join, you kind of want to minimize the effort or whatever people have to do just to get into your meeting. And so I'm saying, do they have to at minimum go through the steps of downloading the app, and then number two, setting up their own account on the app? Is that the way it has to work?
I don't believe so. I believe that when I first was asked to join a Zoom meeting on Windows, it asked me if I wanted to launch the Zoom app, and it downloaded and put it on for me. And I think the same thing was true on the iPhone. It went to the web browser and said, you can do this through Zoom. And I think it put it on there for me as well.
Right.
I think they've made it ultimately easy.
You don't have to create an account or anything. It'll use, I think, just a standard, I forget what you call it, but I don't think you have to have an account to use it. But yeah, I think you do have to have either the plugin or the app.
Okay, because I have it on my phone already. I have it on my devices already. So when I did it, it obviously just happened. But I guess for somebody who's not a Zoom user, or the easier it is for them to connect without going through a bunch of steps or pre-steps just to get that done is a good thing.
Alert from shares.
Yeah.
Easy cursor.
All right. So we got Karis. She was going to ask if you know my iPhone didn't want to let my phone's microphone turn on. It seems to happen on a regular basis. Is this something should be just changing in settings?
I'm not sure if you're talking about an overall iPhone experience or one that just happens in Zoom. I don't suppose in a way the answer to that question makes any difference because I've never had any trouble with the microphone. I think there are times when I have been asked, do you wish to allow use of the microphone? And I've had to click OK or cancel. I don't remember that happened with Zoom, but it may have, and it may have happened with the camera as well. Probably did. So the question is whether you clicked OK to those prompts, maybe.
Now we have Robert and Susan again. Robert, Susan?
Yes, thank you. Two questions. First one is about captioning. Is the real-time captioning done automatically in the system, or do you have to have a really fast typist to type everything in chat? And then my second question, then you can go ahead and mute me, is does the Zoom have backup moderator capability, such as if you want to have a meeting on a regular basis, such as a Toastmasters club, one person owns the account but is unavailable to initiate the meeting, can they hand that off temporarily to a backup moderator? Thank you.
All right. So with the caption, yes, you do need a live fast typer. There is a plugin that you can get if, there's companies that's what they do. You can allow them access and they can, caption live. Or if you have somebody that can type fast enough, I can pick anybody in this chat and allow them to perform the captions. There is a setting that you do have to enable captions in the back end first on your Zoom account first, but you do need. I wasn't able to find any script that would automatically do it.
Eileen just noted in the chat window for the previous question that she had to go into settings and actually enable her microphone. So that may be the answer to why you're not able to use the mic on your iPhone.
Okay, yeah, under Zoom. Settings, then Zoom, and then under Zoom settings, you can enable. Okay.
Let's see, there was a first part to this, there was a second part to the last question.
Yeah, all right. Robert, what was the second part?
The second part of my second question was if let's say that you have a meeting that you're taking place on a regular basis, one person in the group owns the account, but then is not available, can they delegate someone else to initiate the meeting in their place?
So that's all. Yes, you can. You can set also in some of the settings, and you can allow permissions and set different permissions for different people. So you could have different people allowed to be hosts, or you don't have to do it for each meeting. You can set it up so they could even set up the meetings and do everything. Yeah, you can definitely set multiple people to do that.
So I set our state president, for example, as somebody who can use my Zoom account anytime she wants to initiate a meeting. You can also, once you're in a meeting, if Kevin decided he had to leave right now, he could choose somebody else to be the host from his participants. Oh, I'm getting the chat stuff in here. I don't know how to turn it off on the iPhone. If anybody knows how to do that, tell me. I guess I could turn speech off. That's what I could do. That would work.
Jess just said you can set up hosts, but that's with the paid version.
Yes. To be able to switch hosts, yes.
Yeah.
That's the pro.
And Curtis Trong also says, how does a phone participant not using the Zoom app or I guess using the Zoom app, raise their hand. Is there a command on the phone to do this?
*9, I believe it is.
Yeah, *9, yeah. All right, and then we have Miss Lynn Schneider. Lynn? Oh, that's Marianne, sorry.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Again?
Yep.
All right. I was going to say, the other thing is there is, even just on the main screen of the Zoom app, there is a group of settings where you can choose the defaults of whether or not you want your videos turned on, your microphone turned on, so on and so forth. I have my microphone traditionally set to mute when I join a conference, and I unmute it when I want to, but you can also have it, where your microphone always comes on live, and then you can click mute as you need to, and so on. But if you are doing that where it's set to muted to begin with, then you do have to go in. That's what I was sending in the text, in the chat. If you are setting on mute, the first time you've raised your hands and been unmuted by the host, then you do have to click to unmute yourself as well each time you're starting on a Zoom call. But those preferences are all in the main, on the main screen of the Zoom app.
Okay.
See, all I'm really having to do is be a facilitator. The truth is, you guys as a collective really already know these answers. This is good.
All right, now, see, trying to get Miss Lynn here. It's doing the same thing as Karis. It's not letting, oh, wait.
Hi, can you hear me?
There we go, Miss Lynn, yep.
There we
Yes,
go.
okay. Hi, I'm from Delaware, and thank you so much for this. This is amazing. But I did want to say that I'm using the iPhone version of Zoom, and every once in a while, actually on a pretty frequent basis, I will just lose that bottom row of buttons and like basically have no speech at all. I mean, the phone's not locked up, but it seems like I can't get any feedback at all from VoiceOver on the screen. And what I sometimes will do is hit home and kind of mess around and go back into the app switcher and put the focus back on the app, and it'll sort of come back. But this happens a lot, and I just didn't know if anybody else experienced it or what I should do. I'm using headphones.
So I notice this a lot, not just in the Zoom application, but there are other apps in which I notice it too, where flicking won't do me any good. I actually have to leave the app and come back into the app. I don't have to close it, but I usually do have to go to the home screen and then the task manager and flip back into it. But I don't find that to be unique to the Zoom. I find it to be unique to the latest version of iOS 13.2 or 13.3, whatever we're at.
So I'm not the only one. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, there you go.
Good, thank you.
All right. We have Worley.
Thanks. I'm not sure how close to the end we are, but I always like to do commercials. First of all, I want to thank Gary. I'm sure Jessica and Maureen and Kevin. Gary, that's amazing. You've been one of our valued leaders and facilitators and teachers and trainers and editors and so many things. We love you, man, and thanks for doing this. But I always want to do a commercial, and that is we have lots of other training calls and networking calls. If you want information, just send a note to assistance@nfbco.org. We're going to be doing a number of these kinds of trainings and networkings. That's also the email for Colorado folks, particularly. If you're in trouble, if you can't get to the store, you need some help, we're working with organizing volunteers. Assistance@nfbco.org, and also let folks in Colorado know that there's also the hotline number that Maureen and Jessica check, and of course that's 303-778-1130, and the extension is 219. Don't call Carol's extension, call 219, and we love having you all. And again, thanks, Gary, for doing this, and I'll just mute and listen. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I have appreciated being able to help. As I said, I'm not a Zoom expert. I told you exactly where I got my information. I read a 3-hour book and probably got 15 minutes out of it. So as Barbara Pierce told me when I started editing the monitor, you've got to quit being so arrogant. If you read a thing twice, you're likely to find things that you missed the first time through. And if you read it 3 times, maybe you'll get it right. So I need to read the books again. You all have revealed to me some things that I don't know about the client, but I think it's a wonderful client. I think it's really affordable. I think it's really high quality. I think it gives you almost every conceivable option that you would want. Sometimes, you know, our technology leaves out older folks, but the fact that they can still join from the phone is great. I think it's a wonderful app. I think it's remarkably stable, the Zoom platform, and I'm glad to have been able to help.
We've got one from Judy here. Judy, are you there?
Hi, yep, am I unmuted?
Yep.
Has anybody figured out a way to not clear the history? But I've got about 8 meetings. One meeting I went to, she had a different number every month, just to clear the certain ones that I want to get rid of, but I've still got a bunch that I want to keep. So I don't want to clear the history.
I do not know the answer to that. I've always valued everybody I could put in history, thinking it was one less to remember, but I've never had that situation before. You know, if I were trying to delete, I might do a double tap and hold my finger down to see if it gave me an option like that.
Ah, that's an idea. Yeah.
Don't know if it'll work, but that's what I would try. And then I would lose all my history and I'd regret that I tried it.
Oh, yeah.
But,
oh, good God. I know. I don't want, I've got so many important ones I don't want to lose.
there you go. You know, sometimes I actually take the time to write down the IDs in Braille, just so I have them.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just, yeah, put them on the tape recorder in case that happens.
Yeah, whatever works for you, you know.
Right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Very much.
You're very welcome.
Let's see. Trevor in the chat said you could try the actions rotor.
Yeah. Yeah. If it gave you a delete, that might work.
All right. We have Sean again. Sean?
Yes, I just want to know, I had sent a message to Gary Wonder earlier and wondered if we know if we can use Zoom with Alexa.
I have not seen any advertisement for Zoom and Alexa. That doesn't mean you can't do it, but I have never seen it in any of the Zoom promotional material.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Well, Kevin, I've appreciated being able to help. I'm really delighted that Colorado is doing everything that it is to respect social distancing without imposing social isolation. I think that's a big part of what it means to be the Federation family, and I'm so honored that you asked me to help.
We appreciate you being here. It's been a great experience. I've learned a lot already. I've only been doing this for a couple of days.
Well, thanks so much, Gary, for being willing to be on here. I hope I'm not causing an echo. I just ran back in the room with my cell phone because I wanted to say goodbye to everyone. But thank you so much for being such a wonderful teacher for us all. And thanks everyone for the excellent questions. And I just really appreciate the call.
I had fun. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you, Gary.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good
Thanks,
weekend.
guys.
Bye.